going in. And
Ah.
yeah, that was a swimming pond, and people would come in. I mean, people came there and stayed for the summer because they loved swimming in the lake there, you know, and they would swim across and back. People would use it as like a lap pond, you know, and it was awesome. And then it's funny when you stop using stuff, it gets nasty. It's like someone, a house becomes that was fine and looked great, and all of a sudden nobody lives in it anymore. Within a few years, it looks terrible. It's like non-use causes atrophy. It's like just the fact that it's not lived in means it gets terrible. It's like when people stopped swimming in the pond, it got nasty. Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm. Like, can you describe nasty a little bit more?
Murky. The bottom of it got much more muddy. And like I remember going and swimming there, and you could just walk into the pond, and I could walk with my feet on touching the ground, probably almost about like a third out into the pond, and then it got too deep. But you could always like kind of sink yourself down to the bottom and touch the bottom and come up. Maybe it got to be like 8 or 10 feet deep or something like that, the deepest spot. But when you touch the ground, you'd feel like a little muddy layer on the top, and then there would be harder sand underneath. But like later, if you tried to do that after it wasn't really a swimming pond anymore, you go down and your foot would get like stuck in the mud. You know, it got a muddy layer, got thicker, you know. And like got to be more weeds and stuff around the edges and more plant life in it that your legs would feel when you would try to be in there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very like Chinese medicine metaphor for stagnation and congestion, you know?
Totally.
Like,
it is.
There's no movement. Everything's just congested.
This sounds like maybe something. This sounds like a conversation that we would have if we had a podcast on Oriental medicine.
Yeah,
I think it would be fairly similar to this because the free flow of the conversation is what would make it different. And I think there's like the kind of podcasts I listen to are like Joe Rogan. I love because it's long form and there's time enough there to evolve and devolve conversations. And even if it's not accurate or whatever, it's just friendly conversation and learning about someone. That's what I want this to be. And but like the ones where they're like, for instance, for a while I've been doing this no lectin diet, and this guy Dr. Gundry, and I try to listen to his podcast, and they're like 15 minutes long, and they're very specific about a topic around the diet and stuff like that. I find them impossible to even get through. Whereas I'll listen to a 4-hour Joe Rogan podcast, and it'll fly by. I'll never pause it. It'll just be in my head, and I'll be cleaning the house, or it's something I look forward to. I know I have to do a bunch of work outside or something like that. I'll put on a podcast and listen to those conversations. But I can't listen to someone just teaching me something, Like I want to be, I guess I do want to be entertained in a way, and conversation that I don't know where it's going to go is entertaining to me.
Yeah.
Unless it's history. I can listen to history for hours.
Do you watch Drunk History? Because that's the best history.
That is great. I don't know. I love this guy. His last name's Carlin, and he has a podcast called Hardcore History, and he has another one called Common Sense. But Hardcore History is great. And I got into him because he was the voice of this Chinese history. It wasn't a podcast. It was a company called The Learning Company. They used to record college professors in the 90s and the aughts. And there was a 45-part series. It was basically 2 semesters of college because they were like hour-long classes. And it was 5,000 years of Chinese history from Yao to Mao. And it was basically started at 2500 BCE and came up to now, or 3000 or so, and came up to 2000. And it was fantastic, and his voice was so good. And we'd listen to it on our way when we were driving to Reno and back. And it was like the perfect amount of stuff just to like listen to get there and back. It'd be like 16 hours or so of audio. And it's super fun. And then he started this Hardcore History one. And it's all old stuff that like makes me think like I'm back in prep or something like that, because like it's all old history. He's got ones about like more modern history, but he's got these deep, deep, deep things about like Babylonian history and King Cyrus the Great and ancient Greece and stuff like that. And I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It would have to be something where we're like talking about our lives, just being best pals like we are, and we throw in some Oriental medicine.
I would love that. I honestly kind of have forgotten that multiple times while we've been talking that we're actually doing a podcast.
Right? I know. It just feels like a conversation.
Like I forgot, like when we first started talking that you were even recording and just like thought we were hanging out. And then it's like, oh yeah, we're doing a podcast.
Right. Yeah. Because
yeah,
we should do that. I'm gonna have to wrap this up to get on to the rest of the day. But if people want to know more about what are your main efforts? Obviously, you have your clinic, but is Wild Hearts Apothecary still an active part of your life?
It's not, but it's so interesting that you bring that up because I just recently was thinking about revamping it.
Oh, nice.
Especially at this time, because I loved the idea behind Wild Hearts Apothecary of by helping yourself, you're helping other people get healthcare. I would want to promote that so much in any way, no matter what that is, just in the world. You know, it's like the pebble that you're talking about, where the ripples just go out. You know, it's like by using hawthorn to treat your heart issues, you are, by purchasing that from something like Wild Hearts Apothecary or whoever else wants to take up this idea, then that money is going to help people in low-income communities get healthcare. So it's like this like awesome multifold healing that's happening, you know, and yes.
I think the stuff that because I'm still interested in it as well, and I think my initial forays into understanding the native medicine of my area from the Native American perspective will blend in well. And, I think there's a conversation there to dig into it. But if people want to learn more about you or find what you do, what are the best ways for them to find out about you?
Best way is probably just to go to wildheartswellness.net and find information there.
Okay. That's easy.
That's super easy.
Dr. Maura Dawgert. I love you.
I love you too.
I'm glad
I can't wait to... Yeah, I can't wait to chat more.
Yeah. Hold on. Stay on. I'm just going to turn this off.